Well, there's not going to be any work today, or for the next couple of days. This is how it looked yesterday, too. I was able to get one done in the morning, and then it's been raining ever since. But here in the shop, cleaning out the truck, the Ram that is, because pretty soon I'm going to have a car seat back here. But I figured now's as good a time as any to do the part 3 of my story. I know I'm kind of lagged on that a little bit because I've been so busy, both on the fence project as well as with lawns now that the season has started back up. Irrigation tools. If you know what this is, you know. Anyway, so when I last left you in part 2, I was working a job as a maintenance manager at a college around here, and I was, it was the school that I went to, and honestly, about 6 or 7 years, or even 10 years before I worked there, this was my dream job. I wanted this job, and at the time, it wasn't in the cards. So, you know, I graduated from college, and I went to work at Home Depot, like I said in part 2. And I kind of spun my wheels for a little while. I learned a lot of valuable skills there. Don't get me wrong. And I met a lot of people there. Some people I still deal with, but ultimately it was kind of a dead end for me. And I guess it was because of my uncertainty, my apprehension of getting into business full time that kind of made me settle for that job. But once I left there, I went back to my alma mater, and I became the facilities manager there finally. And it was, at the time, it was like, wow, this is like a dream come true. I'm doing the job that I wanted back when I was a student here, and I'm doing what I wanted to do. But I didn't see at the time when I was a student. You don't see all the behind the scenes drama, as they call it. You don't see all the inner workings that go on there. And it was a lot of stress. It was an insane amount of stress for me, to the point where it was hard for me to function. It was hard for me to do my job. It was hard for me to have a personal life. You know, it was the anxiety of people constantly calling you and bugging you for emergencies, because there was a lot of emergencies on a campus with 60 or 70-year-old buildings. There's a lot of problems that happen and arise from those things. So I finally resolved to myself, I've got to go back into business full time. I've got to somehow make this work. I was dabbling a little bit in it. I had a couple of yards that I would cut every week, and so I still had some equipment, but I was dabbling in it. And I thought, there's got to be a way. I've got to make this work somehow. So I did a lot of soul searching. I prayed about it a lot. And meanwhile, at the time, I was working this job. I was the facilities manager at this school, and I didn't realize it, but my job was on the rocks necessarily. Several of the people there were not happy with the job I was doing. I wasn't told this, but I found out later through third-party sources. But anyway, unconfirmed reports. I found this out, but I was, my job was basically on the rocks there, and there was one day in particular where I had resolved to myself, I'm going to go today to meet with these accountants, and figure out exactly how I need to proceed with setting up my business. So I met with the accountants. They told me who to talk to and who they dealt with for establishment of an LLC, which, if you know what an LLC is, a limited liability company, it's a business entity that you establish to where you have business checking accounts, and you have, business credit and things of that nature. It lets you operate as a business entity versus just by yourself as a sole proprietor or something like that. So let's see, I'm gonna put this over here. So I went to the accountants. I met with them. I went to an attorney down in Dallas, and I met with him, and he did the research and did the LLC formation for me. It cost about $1,200, but at the time I was like, I just need to get this done the right way. I need to get it done properly so that everything will be smooth. I don't want problems, especially if at the time the plan was I'm going to run this business kind of as I'm going to be the owner, and I'm going to get a couple of guys that I know. There was a couple of guys that I knew at the time who were hungry for work, and they wanted to kind of do physical labor, manual labor kind of thing. And so I was going to establish this business, use these two guys to run the day-to-day, just to handle all the cutting and everything, and I would be the owner. Man, so I met with the attorney and set everything up. Well, when I was going to the attorney, my boss messaged me. My boss from the job messaged me. Says, "Hey, we need to meet today." And I told her, "I cannot meet with you today. I am going to see my attorney. I will meet with you tomorrow." Well, the next day, the very next morning when I met with her, I was laid off. They laid me off. That was the moment when I, in the sense that, like, wow, my hand's been forced. They laid me off and said, "Okay, this is it. You're done. You're done with this job." So I had to change gears immediately. I had to basically say, "Well, sorry, two guys I was going to use. Can't use you now." I've got to be the worker and the boss at the same time, So that's what I did. I took over. I had the LLC, so everything was good. So I started, doing lawns. There was this website that I worked on for a while that I got jobs from. It is, I believe it's still around. I haven't done a job there in about 4 years on that website. It was pretty much only through my first year that I used it. It was for my first and second season I used it. And then I did 1 or 2 jobs in the beginning of my third year, and after that I didn't have time because the jobs you get on there, people are kind of cheap, and it's for low cost maintenance. It's really for weekend warriors to use, in all honesty. But lawnmowingonline.com was the name of that website. It's still around. Anybody can get on there and sign up. You don't have to even be registered as a business. It's not necessarily a good idea to do it that way, but that's how they operate. That's how they run their operation. You're like an independent contractor with them. Anyway, I'm getting off base here. So the school cutting me loose like that, laying me off abruptly, was the move, in a sense, that forced my hand. I knew at that point I had to get this business going off the ground and get this business running the way that I needed to, because there wasn't any other options. It's not like I had another job I could go back to. Unless you count, I could have gone back to Home Depot, but I wouldn't have been making any money there hardly, and it wasn't a place where I could excel. It was just a job, and so that wasn't an option. So I persevered and I pursued this vision, and I worked at it every year, and I bought better equipment. I started out. I had a commercial mower from when I was from my dabbling phase, the one that I bought from Charlie years ago. So I brought it out of mothballs and used it for a while. I finally upgraded to a Gravely Compact Pro 34, which I used for a few years. I had a 48-inch X Marks sit down, the Radius Friday, as it was called. You see it on some of my early videos from last year. You won't see any mowing footage of me on it because I sold it. I sold it last year, or beginning of, yeah, I guess it was last year. Beginning of 2023, I sold it. So, where I am now, I'm at the point where I need to continue doing what I'm doing, but also grow my business. And really, the focus is going to be growing the right type of clients. So, there's going to be some clients that are going to slowly get phased out, I believe, that, because prices are going up with the economy and with everything going on in the business and also everything going on in my life, honestly. Prices are going to be going up, and I don't think everybody's going to be on board with that. But that's okay. It's a big area. It's a big city. It's a big region. There's a lot of work here. So that's what's going to happen. I'm going to be moving. I'm going to be sticking with the stand-on mowers. I don't think I'll have another sit-down rider ever. That could obviously change. The only property right now I have that really would be nice to have a sit-down for would be the St. Andrew's Church property, just because that huge lot on the backside is like a whole acre. It's kind of a pain in the ass to mow it with a stander. It works, but I'd prefer to be sitting down with that, I think. I can go slow and not bounce around a lot. Plus, if I had a nicer seat, it would be more helpful. We'll see. But it's all about getting the right type of client base. I'm going to be using the stand-on mowers, the Vantage and the Grandstand here, Moriarty, Nicodemus, and whatever else comes. I'm considering buying a third mower. I hadn't really thought of that before recently, but it's kind of an issue right now I'm dealing with this mower being down. I'm having to rely on the Grandstand completely until they get the parts in for the Vantage here. So if I had a third mower, that would really lighten the stress of the situations like this when you have a mower down for an extended period of time. But we'll see. I don't know if that's going to happen or not. So I'm continuing to move on. I'm going to be working in this business and growing this business out. That's where we are now with my story. So that's where I was, and that's where I am now. So I've had a lot of help. I really have. I've had people that were willing to share advice with me and willing to mentor me. I've had, somewhat of a financial crutch in a sense, in that my wife works or has worked all the way up until I don't know how she's going to do. I don't know what's going to happen once my son is born. I'm not sure how that's going to work into this. I know I'm going to be working, but I don't know if she's going to be working anymore. So with all that being said, this is where I am now. And you can watch parts 2 and 3, 1 and 2, to see kind of how I started out and where I came from. So I hope this has been helpful to somebody, and I hope you've enjoyed watching this. If you have any questions about business and about how I came to be, let me know. And if not, that's fine too. Take care and have a good day.